Welcome to Strength Side. Today we're talking hip internal rotation, and we're going to go over 3 exercises / stretches that you can do to improve your hip internal rotation. So it's very easy to get your hip internal rotation tested by a personal trainer or a physical therapist to see if you're lacking it, or you can just try these exercises and see if your hips feel better. So one thing that improving your internal rotation is going to do for you, it's going to improve your ability to flex your hip. So this is a test that we can do, actively pulling your hip up into flexion to see if these exercises are doing anything for you, right? So I would recommend doing this before and then hit a stretch, do it after, see if that improved, right? And the other thing that this is going to improve is your squat, right? Because that's basically what this is, this deep hip flexed position. So getting into a squat, seeing if this feels better after you try these exercises is a good thing to do. So this first one we're going to do is going to be a 90-90 hip internal rotation, okay? So I'm in this 90 position, so what I'm shooting for is to get this hip, knee at 90, right? Now this front leg is going to be about the same as well, okay? So now we've put this right leg into internal rotation here, right? So if you're really lacking internal rotation, this in itself might just be very challenging, and this will be good for you just to sit into this, right? But for those of you who are okay sitting into this, we're going to do something to challenge this hip stability here, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to put our hand on our ankle, and then we're going to press up against our hand. Now me pressing my leg up against my hand is forcing this hip into more internal rotation. Okay, so it's forcing this hip to stabilize here. You're gonna feel a lot of contraction right here in the side of the hip, right? You might even get some cramping or something like that. That's okay, right? That probably just means that this hip isn't used to stabilizing in this position, so it's good to get it used to it. Okay, so we can press up against here. What we can also do is we can just try to lift that foot up off the ground. Okay, this is challenging. You might need to lean away to do this, right? See how much it improves when I lean away. We want to get to the point where we can sit up straight though, and get that foot up off the ground like so. Now the other thing we can do here is put the hand on the knee, press up against my hand. Now I'm just basically going into, I'm pushing into external rotation from an internally rotated position, but you're going to feel a contraction in about the same part of the hip, okay? Cool, so that's 90-90. A lot of stuff that you can play with there. Start seeing if we can improve some of that internal rotation. Get up, test your hip flexion. How's it feel? Mine feels pretty good right now. Okay, next one. I'm gonna go on my belly, prone. I'm gonna bring my knees out like so, as far as I can spread them, and then from here to force into internal rotation, I'm just gonna drive this ankle this way, right? That's gonna be pushing my hip into internal rotation, okay? So this in itself, you're already, forcing into internal rotation, stabilizing there. And now, if I twist to the side that I really want to work, like so, now this is really, really contracting. It's even starting to get a little bit of the onset of a cramp there. Right, I can go to the other side, work that side. Really pushing into that internal rotation, getting my hips to stabilize and get comfortable with that position, okay? That's number 2, prone, internal rotation. Test your hip flexion again, test your squat, see how we're feeling, right? Hopefully we're feeling more stable. Now, number 3, this is one I just recently learned. Mr. Matt Shue actually showed me this one, and it's been really, really helped me out a lot. And I've been enjoying it. So I'm going to sit up against a wall. I'm going to put my feet together. Now from here, I'm just basically going to try to force my knees in together, right? Now we can play around with, the more I put my feet out, the less hip flexion I have here. That's going to be easier. The more I put my feet back to me, the more this flexes my hip, the harder it's going to be to force these knees together, okay? Now the big thing that you want to take into consideration here is my back against the wall. Now we don't want to get tucked under I don't want my back to start getting rounded like this. Okay, that's going to be compensating and not getting that true internal rotation of the hip. So I'm actually going to anterior tilt my pelvis, and I'm going to stay arched here in the lower back. Okay, that's going to make it more challenging to get into this internal rotation. Okay, so I'm arching the back, I'm pressing these knees together, my feet are together, and I'm establishing this internal rotation. My hips are stabilizing here. Now I can put my hands here and I can press against, I can contract for a few seconds, relax, contract, relax. I can go out too, same thing. Contract as hard as I can, relax, right? Not letting that back round, keeping that back arch. All right. Ooh, and that feels really good right there. Boom, we're getting some good hip flexion now. So that's 3 pretty easy exercises that you can do to start working on your internal rotation. This is something that's missed a lot in people's range of motion, right? We find that a lot of people are missing internal rotation, and it's affecting the way that their hip mechanics work, right? So we start to get impinged hips. You feel pinching here, pain or tightness in the front of your hip. Take a look at your internal rotation, improve it, and improve your hip overall mobility and mechanics. All right, guys, that's the video. Be sure to like it. If you like it, subscribe to StrengthSide, and as always, we'll see you in the next one.